Okay, next is going over Visual Studio 2022. If you have laptop from Lawrence Tech, Visual Studio should be provided with that laptop. So you will go over here, open, and you should see it. Visual Studio 2022. When you click on that icon for the first time, this dialog will open, or this window. You are going to see these steps, or not steps, these options. You can either clone a repository, which you are not going to do. You are going to open a project or a solution, which sometimes you will. You have the option to open a local folder, which you will not use. You will have the option to create a new project, which you will mostly use. So you are going to either create a new project, or you will open an old that you created sometime in the past project. Every time I assign you a homework, you will come to this screen and you will create a new project. You will type the week or the assignment name, your name, and then you will create that project. You will start working on it. You might close Visual Studio, shut down your computer, and then you will come back to it. You will open Visual Studio and you will say, open a project or a solution. You will choose that project that you recently created and continue where you left off. So right now, I will go ahead and create a new project. Let's assume I'm working on homework 1 for week 1. I will come and I will say, create a new project. It will show me a lot of options for what type of project I'm trying to create. There are many programming languages that Visual Studio support. There are many platforms that Visual Studio supports, and there are a lot of programs types that Visual Studio supports. In this course, we are going to pick C++. So in case you have all project types, all platform, all languages, you will come and filter by C++. You will come and filter by Windows, because we are doing Windows applications. And you are going to filter by console type. Now that I filtered, you are going to pick the first one. First one will create an empty project, completely empty. The second one, which is a console application, will create an empty project, but will provide you with a base code for a Hello World application. You can start with both. I will select console application, and then I can remove this code. And as a matter of fact, let's go over both of them. I will go and select empty project. I will say next. Now it will ask me for the project name. I will say, since I'm working on homework 1, I'm gonna say homework 1 camel case, meaning the first letter of each word is capital letter. Or you can, for example, put a dash. Homework 1 underscore my name. And this is how I need you to call it. This will help you locate it in future. Hey, where is homework 1? Oh, I'm on homework 5, and I know that in homework 3 I did something similar. So where is homework 3? You need to keep track. For now, I'm gonna call the project homework 1 Khalil Khalaf. Here it asks you for the location. Where would you like to save that project? By default, it saves them under C drive, users folder, my account, source repo. I can browse and select a different location. I can, for example, say I need to save this on the desktop on a new folder. I'm going to say CS1 homeworks. The more organized you are, the better results you will get. So CS1 homeworks, I will select this folder. So now it's C drive users, my account on the desktop. under this folder. Place solution and project in the same directory. Yes, I would like to place them in the same directory. I don't want bunch of files spread out across many directories or many folders. I want everything in one folder. Create. So now it created an empty project for me. In your case, you might not see this. This might be hidden, for example, X, right? Close it, close it. You might have it completely empty. Oh, Professor, I don't see anything. What you are interested in, what you need to have in front of you are Solution Explorer, and that's it. At this level, you no longer need, or you don't need anything else. You only need Solution Explorer. So if you go to the view, you're gonna see the first option, Solution Explorer. You can also use this shortcut, Control Alt L. So I'm gonna click on it. In your preference or in your case, this might pop up here, or it might pop up at the bottom, or it might pop up at the top. In my case, I'm gonna click on this section of the tab, and I will drag it all the way to here. Now that it highlights the position for me, I'm gonna release. So again, if it pops here, or it pops like very small in your case, you are going to click on this section of the tab. So click, drag. Now it highlights the position, release. So now it's pinned. It's pinned on this side of my window. Notice the solution. This is what it's called. Inside this solution, it has a project. This is what the project name is. And it's empty. These are just empty folders. I can, as a matter of fact, delete them. So it's completely empty. I'm going to start adding the base code for this window or for this project. I'm going to right click on source files and I'm going to say add. I'm going to select a new item. It will open a dialog for me. Similar to what you saw earlier, you will have to filter. I need C++, sort by default. I need a C++ file, which is .cpp, .c++. This is what you need. You will select this option. You will give it a name. The name in this case, I'm going to call it main because this is my main CPP file. This is my main C++ file. In this course, you will only need one file throughout the entire semester, only one file. So every time you have a homework, you will come, create an empty project and add one file, one C++ file. You will call it main. Later, I recommend and I actually require that you give the name, your name in the file name. So I'm gonna call it, for example, main underscore my name. So main CPP file, and it is my name. Or as a matter of fact, you can call it, for example, homework one, my name. This would be best. This would be best. This way, when you send your CPP file, I can download all the files, right? I have like a lot of students. I download all the CPP files, and then when I open a file, I can tell which homework, I can tell which student. So this makes it easier for me. In most homeworks, I require that you include your name in the file name, and I ask you to pay attention to this requirement because you lose grade otherwise. So if your name is not in the CPP file, you lose grades. Let's make this clear. Let's follow this format for CPP file names, which homework you're working on, and your name. The rest are by default in place. Here it asks you where would you like to put this file. Well, by default, it's under this project, under this solution, and it will dump it in this directory. So I'm going to say add. So notice it added the file here, .cpp. So this is where I'm going to type code. For now, our focus is not going over what each line means, but I'm going to show you what the powers and the features of Visual Studio. I will just type a quick code that does a basic a task, which is displaying hello world on the screen. So this code, without going into specifics, will display hello world on the screen. So without going into specifics right now for each line, because we do that in the chapter 1 and chapter 2, I need to point out what this file provides you. So I'm going to collapse this because I no longer need it. This window right here, when I click on this file, it will open the file on the top panel. I can pin files. I can have 10 files open and I can pin like only 3. But in your case, you're only going to have 1 file. So it doesn't matter if I pin it or not, it's going to always be there. So this tells me on the next panel, it tells me which project I'm on. Again, you can have a solution that has 50 projects. And you then, under the solution, you will have 50 projects and you can navigate between projects. You can select this one, then this one, then this one. So this panel will tell me which solution I'm on, which project I'm on, sorry, the global scope, and it depends where I select my mouse, it tells me which function I'm on, which method, which scope. So here we notice it goes away. Here it tells me it's main because I am within these curly braces. I can collapse and open. Then next, it has column for breakpoints, and we can go over this later. It has a column for the line number. This is line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, etc. It has editor. Editor means a place where you can edit text. So notice this code. If I copy this code and I go ahead and create text document. If I put this code here, imagine I have a lot of lines. Reading the code in a white and black interface makes it a little annoying. And this is still a simple code. You might have a file that has like 2000 lines of codes with longer lines. So having a white and black interface makes it harder for the developer and anybody viewing that code. So one of the features in Visual Studio is having an editor that highlights things for you. Things in yellow mean one thing. Things in blue mean another thing. Things in brown mean one thing. Things in pink mean another thing, and so on, so forth. So this is the first feature of Visual Studio, which is highlighting what different keywords mean. Then I have this column here, which zooms and helps me navigate through a large file. Then I have this panel. I have this panel. A quick overview. You're not gonna need all of them. You have the file where you can open, close, save, add stuff to your file, save all, save only this CPP, save as. my account settings. I forgot to mention when you open Visual Studio, if you are on laptop from an LTU, it will have your account associated with it. You will notice my picture on this section of Visual Studio. This is my account. So your LTU account should be logged in, or if it's not logged in, you should be able to log in using your LTU. So if you are on a laptop from LTU, Visual Studio will come with the laptop and logged in already. If you don't have laptop from LTU, you will go to Google, you will search for Visual Studio 2022 download, and then you will download Visual Studio 2022, and you should be able to execute Visual Studio on your own computer and log in using your LTU credentials. You will put your LTU email, your LTU password, and log in to Visual Studio, and it should allow you in. If you have problems logging in, please reach out to the help desk at LTU. Edit. This is to edit the file, the text in the file. Copy, paste, cut, delete, etc. View. This is to view different tabs and different dialogues and windows in Visual Studio. For example, the Solution Explorer we just opened. You have Git changes, Team Explorer, Server Explorer test. You don't need any of these. Error list, output. You will need error list, you will need output, but they are by default already provided for you. Output, what's the output? Error list, what are the errors in case you have errors? And you will get more familiar later in this semester. Git is a tool for version control. Version control means, let's say you have a lot of team, or let's say only you working on a project. Git is a tool that tells you what did you do and when. For example, I just did this code. I can go and tell Git, okay, done, submit or commit. So Git will track and will save a record that on January 8th, 2023, at this time, this code was submitted by this user. Then if I change this code, type new stuff, Git will detect, oh, that this file has changed. And if I tell Git to commit, Git will commit that this change was submitted at this time, at this date by this user. So it's a tool to keep track of the version of the code, version 1, version 2, version 3, etc. Project, this is for my project. This is to add a class, add stuff to my project, export, set which project should start first, which project, if I have multiple projects in my solution, which project depends on which project, etc. Build, this is for building my code. Right now it's text, but computers do not understand text. Notice this text has some English into it. Main means main function. Return something. System, so it has English in it. Namespace, using, include. Computers do not understand language, English language. So Visual Studio, the next feature is a compiler. So the first feature in Visual Studio is having an editor. The next feature is having a compiler. A compiler means is a tool that takes this text and converts it to specific instructions that the CPU understands and the CPU can execute in order. Instruction 1, instruction 2, instruction 3. And we will go in details in chapter 1 and 2 respectively. So this tab here is stuff related to the build. Build, rebuild, clean, batch build, compile, etc. Then you have the debug. The next feature in Visual Studio is having a debugger. So the first feature is editor, a place where I can edit and add text. Next feature is a compiler, which converts my text to executable instructions. The third feature is a debugger. Debugger means I can execute a program and I can attach to that program and I can debug that program, meaning I can run that program slowly. I can run that program while watching it doing its execution. I can run a program and see line by line what this line does. Then I can move to the next line. So line by line, I can execute my program line by line. Programs are everywhere. On your cell phone, in your car, on your computer, you have a lot of programs. This text document is a program, right? If I click save and I go back, now when I double click this uh, file, it will execute this program. It will execute this program and it will load some storage and display them in front of me. So there was no debugging in this execution. The program executed and is ready for me to interact with it. If I had a debugger on, I would be able to execute this program and go line by line up until this step, the step of the program being ready on front of me. For example, in this program, I can file, save, and that's it. Simple. Without a debugger, that's it. I can click this button, I can click save, and that's it. However, with a debugger, I can view in the code what happens when the user clicks a view before it displays the screen. So when the user clicks file, I can see inside the code, step by step, line by line, how this list of items is being populated. Which one is getting populated, then which one, what is written in this item, what's written in this item. I can see in code how the program is populating and creating this window and finally displaying it. Then the user clicks save. I can see in code, line by line, how the save task is being executed. So this is what a debugger allows me. Debugger is a tool that allows me to debug a program. Meaning, in other words, if the save is broken, if the save is not saving, I can debug this task and find the bug. I can go inside the code and I can see what the save is trying to do and where is the bug and fix the bug. Test for building your unit test. Don't worry about it. Analyze. Don't worry about it. Tools. You don't need to worry about tools right now. It's stuff third party that you can add to your program or to your Visual Studio solution or project that provides you with additional features. For example, or similar, you have add-ons in Chrome. In Chrome, you can add third-party stuff that will do stuff on your Chrome for you, whether to provide coupons for shopping or change the theme of Chrome. So it's add-ons that you add to your program. Spy plus plus. I'm not sure what Spy plus plus, but it is a tool built by some company that you can include in your Visual Studio. Get tools and features, NuGet package manager, it adds packages to your solution and so on and so forth. Manage extension window, you don't need to worry about these pin tab. This window is for this panel. Like you can pin, you can save a view, like let's say I have 5 files and can open those 5 files. I can create a view for those files. I can call, okay, homework one has 5 files. I can create a view for those 5 files and I can call it homework one. Then when I come to Windows, if I close everything and I open everything and open Visual Studio back, I can come to Window and I can click homework 1 and it will open all 5 files for me. Then we go to the next panel, which is simple. I have the navigate back. So if I go to a file, I can come back to where I came from, which file I came from. I can move forward, move backwards. This is for creating a new project. You don't need it. This is for opening a file. You don't need it because you have the Solution Explorer here. Save this file or save all files. You have the undo, redo, debug. Debug is for the configuration. What are you trying to build? Are you trying to build as a debug version or as a release version? This comes back to the debugger feature, meaning when I build this program, I'm building it as debug. That means a debugger can attach to that program. If I build it as release, then it will be built or created, the program will be created without providing the debugger with a lot of, uh, uh, it will have some limitation for the debugger. So you either build it as debug or release. We're gonna always build it as release. And which platform you're targeting. Here I'm targeting x64 because mostly we all have x64. Most machines right now are 64 bits. You can have 32 bits, which is old, which is x86. X86 is 32 bits. X64 is 64 bits. This is the button that will execute. First, it will build the program and then it will execute the program for me. If I click it, it will build the program. This is the output window. So it executed my console application because this project is a console. We selected C++, window, console. So it executed my program. Notice the debugger is attached. So while this is running, the debugger is attached to this program. So it's a program that displays hello world. Press any key to continue. If I press any key, it will stop. Why it will stop? Because that's it. This is all what the program does. It displays hello world and that's it. You have bunch of other features that you might not use. You will use comment and uncomment. For example, I don't want this line, so I can comment it out. So now this line in green will be ignored by the compiler. So notice now when I run, it will not display hello world because the line for hello world is commented out, means ignored by the compiler. So this is it for Visual Studio. You will get more familiar with it throughout the semester. When we do the lectures and when you do the assignments, you will get more familiar with it. In case you don't want to use Visual Studio, that's fine with me. If you want to use a different IDE, different compiler, that's fine by me, as long as your code works. Remember, if your code has errors or your code doesn't work, then you get a 0. So you're free to use whatever you want. Our lectures are gonna be Visual Studio. You're free to use whatever you want as long as your code works. So let me know if you need help or have any questions.